those who are attending this class. Sir,
Yes,
hello.
sir. Yes, sir.
Just I'm starting now.
Yeah. You can start now.
You see that today's Unit 25, whether it is visible or not.
Yes, sir. It is visual.
Okay, okay. I'll start
Yes,
now.
sir. Visual. You can continue. Yeah.
Uh, hmm. Good evening to you all, my dear friends. So today we'll start the second part of democracy development, book 2, and the unit includes 25, 26, and 27. Interesting topics. The interesting topic: religious politics in India, ethnic and nation state, and democracy and development in India, an assessment. And within three topics, so we'll conclude our counseling class for the first year student. So, Unit 25, the religious politics. You see, the present Indian politics is highly influenced by that religion. It is not today, it was true earlier when India got independence, and it was also influenced by the religious groups. So, today, the Unity 25 is the religious politics. This topic is concerned with the religious politics. It underlines the differences between the religious politics and religion and politics. It also deals with the evolution of religious politics, its divergent views and perspective in India. Friends, this concept of religious politics has assumed its significant role in contemporary India. You might have seen and also heard that so many political parties, they are backed by the religion, different type of religion. Though religion and politics are considered as a two different concept because they have had a synthetic existence in the traditional society, continue to influence each other in the modern society as well. Religion plays an important role in influencing the social process of the mankind and vice versa. It has been a significant factor in mass mobilization, not only during the national movements, but also in the transitory phases towards modernity. During the national movement, the religion was the source of inspiration for political mobilization. In India, religion constitutes the core of a traditional society and continues to enjoy resulted, continue to enjoy its influence on the mass psyche. Because here I want to say, so people of India, psychologically, they are religious minded, and every Indian, they have that a religious that fears within them. So this psychology, hmm, this psychology sometimes make them unite to achieve some greater things. This close affinity has also resulted in social disharmony and a disorder, often leading to clashes between different communities, which was happened earlier. And also, till today, we are also observing in a different that political fields. So political conflicts are strengthened due to this religion. The religious institutions, organizations interact with the political groups and try to maximize their support base, claiming authority over section of the population. The support of these religious groups often determines the strength of the political regime. ଯୋଉଥିପାଇଁ ଭାରତବର୍ଷରେ ଧର୍ମକୁ ନେଇ ଧର୍ମକୁ ମାଧ୍ୟମ କରି କେତୋଟି ଦଳ ଗଠନ ହେଇଛି ଏବଂ ଧର୍ମ ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ କେମିତି ଭାବରେ ଯେ ଭୋଟ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ତିଆରି ହେବ ଏବଂ ପଲିଟିକାଲ ଅଥରିଟି କେମିତି ତିଆରି ହେବ ତେଣୁ ଧର୍ମକୁ ନେଇକି ଯୋଉ ରାଜନୈତିକ ଯୋଉ awareness କେମିତି ଭାବରେ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରୁଛନ୍ତି ୟୁନାଇଟେଡ୍ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ୟୁନାଇଟ୍ କେମିତି ଆଣିଛନ୍ତି ସେ କଥା ଦେଖାଯାଉଛି ତେଣୁ ଏଇ ବିଷୟ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଏଥିରେ ଇନକ୍ଲୁଡ ହେଇଛି so now we'll see that India is a land of religious pluralism, religious diversity also. Because here Hindu religions, here Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Sikhism, Christianity, and several other religions have been coexisting and growing side by side. In this democratic country, Hindus constitute the largest segment of population, nearly 85% as per the 2011 census. The Muslim nearly 12%, and the Sikhs about 2%. Hence, what happened? Similarly, hence religious diversity is a feature of the Indian society, and it plays an important role in politics. Important role in politics. The adoption of secularism, incorporation of the maxims of equality of all religions, and absence of state religion testify to this reality of Indian politics. Similarly, the presence of religious communalism and religious fundamentalism also reflects the harmful side of religious diversity. So, ମୁଁ ଏଠି କହିବା ପାଇଁ ଚାହେଁ that how the people of India and this diversity of religious people, and out of some fundamentalism, some fundamental that support, that means the those who are extreme supporter of a particular religion, they always want to develop and propagate their religion as the supreme. This was the main cause for which the communalism and communal riots are created in the country, and taking the scope, the political party, hmm, they are taking the opportunity to split the society. The demand for separation of religion from politics or politics from religion has been designed to the demands of religious bigotry in Indian politics. So this was the essence, this was the main theme of the topic today, the religious and the politics in India. So this particular topic what provides an that insight into the concept of the religious politics and various dimensions associated with it, like Hindu revivalism and Islamic perspectives. So, a topic which includes so many points, but before we go in a detailed analysis about the religious politics in India and some related points, we should know the meaning and the significance of religious politics. Religious politics can mean one of the two things. In its first form, that first a situation where religion itself becomes the basis of a political articulation and of defining the purpose of a politics. That means here religion itself becomes a kind of a politics. For example, reinterpretation of a religious tradition or defining nationalism or drawing a political program of action. Secondly, religious politics is also a condition where religion is used as the foundation for the political mobilization of the people. Here is the second. The institution of festivals and such other things connected with the religion become the basis of making political appeals to people. As use of the temple and a masjid or a religious festival like Ganesh Puja or Rath Yatra for the political mobilization of the people is another form of religious politics. Here, just I want to say, in the past, during the time of national movement, when that Bal Gangadhar Tilak was an extremist, so he tried to mobilize the Indian people through Ganapati Puja at Maharashtra. So it is the clear example how political mobilization, political appeal can be made through the festivals. Both these types of religious politics have been quite common in our society. But in fact, their history dates back to more than 100 years, but in the recent period, these have acquired the status of the mainstream of the politics. National movement ପାଇଁ ସେତେବେଳେ ଭିନ୍ନ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ଥିଲା how the India will get liberated and how the people will be united, mobilize them to fight against the Britishers. It was the main motto. But now it has acquired the status of mainstream motto politics. However, the topic includes the topic covers the following points like religious politics, divergent views, evolution of religious politics, Hindu revivalism, rise in political unrest, Islamic perspective, religious politics an overview, and with the addition, I want to focus this topic for which the students are studying this MPS-3 second part, democracy and development. That the specific role of religion in Indian politics. It is the main, and the question will be asked in the there an examination or the that is that discuss the role of religion in Indian politics. That means that how it can be analyzed. So now we'll discuss the following points in the nutshell, just to cover within a limited span of time. So far as the divergent views, we can say religious politics provides the substance and agenda of politics. That is the content of politics itself, determined by one or another religion or the religious community. It can therefore appeal only to those belonging to the religious community. So the divergent views, that is not so necessary to discuss in detail, because this particularly it can only belong to that, it can therefore appeal only those belonging to that religious community. Religious politics cannot stimulously be the politics of Hindus, Muslims, Christians. It can only belong to and may have appeal for followers of one or the other religion. The politics that tries to defend what is taken to be Muslim identity, or the politics that works towards the creating a new and different identity for the Hindus. As is happening now, cannot obviously appeal to another community. This remains so even when it tries to present itself as a nationalism. That means as a Hindutva calls itself cultural nationalism. So anyway, if we go through some ahead, let's see. In essence, it remains the majoritarian religious politics. Religious politics therefore also remain communal politics or communalism, as it has been referred to in our country. This is so not just with the Indian, it would be the same with that Mathura famine, Mahaj in Pakistan or any other country, before we proceed further. See, next we see, I will give emphasis about the evolution of religious politics. It is gradually evolved since the last decade of the 19th century with the national movement as its background. Follow? The beginning, because why the national movement as its background? Because so many that uh, leaders, those who are uh, involved in the national movement, they've been they are using that religion to mobilize to the people. The beginning was made with social reforms and subsequently found support from scholars and the nationalists alike through their methods different significant. So far as the evolution, we say the idea of going into all this is to show that though the rise of religious politics had its roots varying from religion to religion, it took a uniform position against another kind of a politics which was predominant in earlier phase, starting with the Ramon Rai. The earlier politics was marked by the conviction that Indian society can revitalize itself by getting rid of evil practices which have got entrenched in the Hindu society, and that this cannot be removed without legislation and the sanction of the laws. Religious politics establishes its claims in fighting the legacy of Ramun Rai. It replaces the appeal by different ideas of the importance of Indian tradition and the Hindu custom. Next, we'll give that importance on the Hindu revivalism. Hindu revivalism. There is no common Hindu revivalism. They varied a great deal from both person to person and also religion to religion. Hindu revivalism secured its base in Bengal, Maharashtra, and the North Indian regions. The nationalist leaders drew their inspiration from religious icons and cults and Vedas. That is, Veda. They have tried to heighten the sensibilities of their groups by advocating the reforms and the rituals related to their respective faiths. तो किभଳି ଭାବରେ ଫେଥ ଥିଲା ଏବଂ ସେଇ ଫେଥକୁ ନେଇକି କେମିତି ଭାବରେ ଯୋଉ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ ମୋବିଲାଇଜ କରାଯାଉଥିଲା ଏବଂ ସେଇଟା the earlier people, so they were meant and their motive was for the national interest. But in the present context, it has become that religious politics which invites the communal riots, communal conflict, like so. Next, we have to give some emphasis on the rise in political unrest. Why? Rise in political unrest. ତେଣୁ ରାଜନୈତିକ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ ଏ ପ୍ରକାର ବିଶୃଙ୍ଖଳା କାହିଁକି ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଲା ଏବଂ ତା ପଛରେ ଦୁଇଟି କାରଣ ଯେ ଆମର two veterans, one the Vivekananda and another the Aurobindo. So they supported, not supported, they just advocated their views. How Indian philosophy, India's Vedas, India's spiritual, that is the superiority of Vedanta. Hmm. And the Indian civilization has been recognized much, by these two that monks, by two monks that and their writings. So in this respect, I want to say the emerging political temper based on religious revivalism and cultural nationalism got a powerful intellectual reinforcement and moral legitimacy. On an all India plane, from writings of highly respected and sophisticated thinkers like Vivekananda and Aurobindo, their canvases were vast horizons, very wide, and concern large. For both, India has a mission for the world. ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବେ ଭାରତକୁ ଯଦି ବିଶ୍ୱ ସ୍ତରରେ ଧାର୍ମିକ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ କିଏ ପହଞ୍ଚେଇଛି, ଏବଂ କେମିତି ଭାରତୀୟ ଯୋଉ ଧର୍ମ ଟଲରେନ୍ସ ଏବଂ ଅଦର ରିଲିଜିୟନ୍ସ intolerance that has been that expressed by the Vivekananda and also the other. For both India has a mission for the world to give to the materially oriented West the great spiritual resources of India and thus to enrich their improvised civilization. Within this mission, they invoked the glories of ancient India, the immemorialness of Indian religion and philosophy, the superiority of Vedanta, the incomparable nature of Indian tolerance and so on. এই ଯୋଉଟା ସ୍ୱାମୀ ବିବେକାନନ୍ଦ ଏବଂ ଅରବିନ୍ଦ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆରମ୍ଭ କଲେ, ସେତେବେଳେ କଣ ପରିସ୍ଥିତି ହେଲା ଏବଂ କାହିଁକି ପଲିଟିକାଲ ଅନରେଷ୍ଟ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଲା? ବିବେକାନନ୍ଦ ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିଦେଲେ ଏଗୁଡାକ କେମିତି ବେଦ ବେଦାନ୍ତ ଆମର ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ରିଲିଜିୟନ ଇଜ ସୁପ୍ରିମ ବିକଜ ଇଟ ଇଜ ଦ ଟଲରେନ୍ସ, and they compare with the Muslim their intolerance. So, and secondly, Aurobindo often equated India nationalism with the Sanatana Dharma. In lesser hands, these and such other observations became very damaging for inter-community relation. ये कोइला फल कौन है ना inter-community relation खराब है, and in that vitiating the worsening communal tension. Communal tension आस्ते आस्ते वृद्धि है. All these had that disastrous consequences for India when seen in conjunction with what was happening with the Muslims. ये कोई था हमारे कौन है ना उटे religious conflict आरंभ. The imperative changes within the Hindu tradition discussed above had its parallel, though of a different kind, among the Muslims as well. The tradition within the Muslim religious community were also subjected to interventions and reworking by both the new orthodoxy and the modernists, both of them trying to draw the community away from the national development. National development to छाड़ी conflict level for altogether different reasons. Whatsoever, these interventions succeeded in drawing the Muslim community apart. ଏଇଠୁ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଲା ଯେ ସେମାନେ ଯେଉଁ ନିଜ ଭିତରେ କନଫ୍ଲିକ୍ଟ ଏବଂ କେମିତି ଦେଶ ଅଲଗା ହେବ। Anyway, as for the course, we have to touch the Islamic perspective. Islamic perspective. The Islamic perspective drew its sources from the historic past, attempted to unite the community by constructing a healthier version of Islam. जोथिपाई मोहम्मद अली जिन्ना आरंभ कले the organization Muslim community के लिए. So gradually the differences led to conflicting perspectives. Nevertheless, the religious groups have started assuming a dominant role, thus making the issue of religious politics a continuous phenomenon. Thus making the issue of religious politics has become a continuous phenomenon. ଏବଂ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେ ପ୍ରକାର ଚାଲିଛି। So the religious politics and overview, as per the course ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା totally ଯେ in this that topic what we discussed, just the overall review can be that analyzed in a shortest form. That is that we can say that after the disaster of the partition, ଏଠି ଡିଜାଷ୍ଟର କାହିଁକି କୁହାଯାଉଛି ନା ଭାରତ ପାକିସ୍ତାନ ଅଲଗା ହେଲା ବେଳେ ଯୋଉଭଳି ଏକ ବିପର୍ଯ୍ୟୟ ସାମନା କରିଥିଲା ଭାରତବର୍ଷ, ଦୁଇ ଧର୍ମ ଭିତରେ ଯୋଉ ଧାର୍ମିକ ଗୋଷ୍ଠୀ ଭିତରେ ଯୋଉ କନଫ୍ଲିକ୍ଟ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଲା ଏବଂ ଯୋଉଥିପାଇଁ ୟୁନାଇଟେଡ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ କ'ଣ ହେଲା ନା ଦୁଇ ଭାଗରେ। So ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ so we can say that after the disaster of the partition, we are now in India where Hindus constitute that 85% of the population. The next biggest is Muslim, and so far as the population is concerned, as per the 2011 census. The development among the Hindus, therefore, a matter of that lot more for the fate of India than among other religious communities. Hence, an insight into 3 or 4 consequences is needed to understand our present politics. The first of these was to give that monolithic unity to Hindu community, a body of doctrines held together in theological, who quite in the way other religions are. Hinduism is a religion with fluid that boundaries was seen as a liability in the face of an adversity. There was also that concerted effort. Secondly, to give muscle to Hinduism. So all the religious thinkers in the wake of revivalism, with the sole exception of Gandhi, because he felt that Hinduism was weak and that effeminate. Therefore, it was first conquered by Muslims and then colonized by the British. From this point of view, that Gandhi was of opinion that Hinduism was weak. So therefore, we must colonize. Otherwise, India will remain threatened by outside powers and internal enemy. This view united such diverse thinkers as Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, Vivekananda, Dayananda Saraswati, and many others. The unity and integrity of India was conceived in the unity and the spirit of the Hindus. Hindu history was over the last 1,000 years since the coming of Muslims viewed as a story, defeats and misfortune. क्या चला? Before that time was the period of great achievement, which was one of glory. So it is the duty of everyone. Here is the third feature which united everyone of these thinkers to recover that golden age. They differed only in their means of achieving it, but strategically they were one, but tactically they were quite considerable. So we can draw here that how these religious groups, religious conflict, unrest, which gave the scope to the that religious party. That means the political party supported by the religious organizations, like the in the 1925 that um, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangha, which was that found in the Nagpur session. 2 years after the publication of Hindutva by V.D. Savakar, many attempts to build organization were made from the beginning of this century. The earliest were that particularly Pratinidhi Sabha of the Arya Samaj, which itself was founded in 1875. Early in the 20th century, the Hindu Sabha was founded. Later, on the 1915, Hindu Mahasabha was formed. At that moment, that Gandhi came from South Africa and joined the National Congress. The efforts were always there, but nothing succeeded in a big way. The RSS was a modest beginning in a provincial town of Maharashtra, where it still has its headquarters. You might have known that the RSS and also the Shiv Sena. These are the two religioustic that political party. It was unique and innovative in a simple way. Its organizational principle was based on three things. That is, there was to be uniform, a salute, but not national flag, and a drill to give a that martial out. This was to be followed by chat with a Swayam Sevak on matters considered by him to be patriotic. But the important idea underlying this was that it must become a part of the routine of one's life. The ordinary cadre, that means the sevak, is a just like a soldier in the cause of the nation. ପିଲାମାନେ ଜାଣିଥିବେ ଯେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦେଶର କୌଣସି ବିପଦ ବା ଦେଶୀୟ କଥା ଯେତେବେଳେ ହଉଛି, ଯେତେବେଳେ ଇଣ୍ଡିଜିନିୟସ୍ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହଉଛି, ସେତେବେଳେ ପ୍ରଥମ କରି ଯୋଉ ସ୍ୱୟଂ ସେବକ ସଂଘ ନିଜେ କେମିତି ମାନେ ଖଣ୍ଡେ ଲାଠି ଧରିକି ବାହାରି ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ମୋ ଦେହରେ ସେଇଭଳି ଶକ୍ତି ଅଛି, ସାମର୍ଥ୍ୟ ଅଛି, ଆଇ ଏମ୍ ସ୍ପିରିଟେଡ୍ ଟୁ devote myself for the country. So, like in military, he is bound by discipline. In a strictly hierarchical setup, though it seemed to be that hierarchical in the beginning, it achieved considerable success under its second dictator. Galwakar. It has a number of that affiliates like the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, the Bajrang Dal, the Durga Bahini, Hindu and that Manini. The, the RSS started a political party of its own, having earlier collaborated with the Hindu Mahasabha for many years. The Janasangha, yes, the Janasangha. It was that reincarnated. It was reincarnated as the Bharatiya Janata Party. प्रथमे आरएसएस थिला हिंदू महासभा एवं many years ପରେ ଆସିଲା କି जनसंघ, but it was reincarnated as the Bharatiya Janata Party in the year 1980, which is now in a coalition called National Democratic Front. In front, the ruling party in the country, and now it is continuing. So, in this sphere, you see that the religious politics, its revivalism, and how it started. So, lastly, I want to inform all the students regarding the specific role of religion in Indian politics. So the role of religion in Indian politics can be analyzed by focusing attention on the following features. Number one, the existence of some religion-based political parties. So this is the important things, my dear student, and you should give attention, and just you will follow the in detail. Just I am discussing the points to be noted. But existing of some religious-based political party, like every liberal democratic constitution, the Constitution of India guarantees to the citizen the freedom to form their association, as well as the right to freedom of religion. Article that 25 to 28. These two freedoms have led to the organization of several political parties on the basis of various religions, like the Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha, Shiv Sena, so on. Next, the religion and electoral politics. It is another rule of religion in politics. Religion plays a crucial role in Indian elections, right from the process of political socialization and leadership recruitment to the making and implementation of authoritative values. With the fortunate exception of judicial decisions, the religious factor constitutes an important factor on Indian politics. Electoral politics, that the selection of candidates for contesting elections, the allocation of constituency to various party candidates, the election campaigning organized by almost all political parties and even the independents. ଏକ ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦିଷ୍ଟ ରାଜନୈତିକ ଦଳ ଦେଖୁଛି ଯେ କୋଉ କ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡିଡେଟଟାକୁ ଆମେ ଦେଲେ ଏଠି ଆମର ଭୋଟ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେବ। And the exercise of franchise, the formation of ministries, and the process of policy making, ସେଠି ମଧ୍ୟ ଗୁରୁତ୍ୱ ଦିଆଯାଉଛି ଯେ କୋଉ ଧର୍ମ ବା ଯୋଉ ପାର୍ଟି କିଭଳି ଭାବରେ ଆମକୁ ସପୋର୍ଟ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ଆଜି ତ ରାମ ଜନ୍ମଭୂମି versus Babri Masjid issue was definitely an important issue in the November 1989 and June 1991 elections. The issue continues to be present in the minds and action of some political parties. the ritual of for debating the issue Ram Janmabhoomi versus Babri Masjid is played on 6th December every year. ଚାଲିଛି ଯୋଉଥିପାଇଁ ଏବେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଯେ ରାମ ମନ୍ଦିର ଏଷ୍ଟାବ୍ଲିଶମେଣ୍ଟ ପାଇଁ ଅଲରେଡି ଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ଡିମାର୍କେଟ ହେଇସାରିଛି ଏବଂ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ବିଜେପି ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଅଛି just after the pandemic corona situation is over, so they will start the temple. Another important that point is politics of appeasement of religious minorities. It is also one important thing. A politics of appeasement, the राजनीतिक संतुष्टिकरण जे संख्या लघु मानक किभଳି ଭାବରେ ସନ୍ତୁଷ୍ଟ କରାଯିବ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମଧ୍ୟ ଚାଲିଛି. Some political parties try to develop that vote bank among the minority groups. And basically I would say that in Bhadra there's so many leaders, they wants to capture the minority community vote to that lead the election or to overcome the election. They support and encourage the forces of religious fundamentalism, which are always present more or less in all religious organizations, that groups, and more particularly in minority religious groups. Next, so that is why in so many countries that in fact in some of the states like Punjab, which is some religion based political party, religion act as the factor of state politics. Shiromani Akali Dal, which is the dominant political player in Punjab politics, has been that its Panth agenda acts a major determinant of electoral politics. In thinking in favor of extension of reservation to Muslims from a part of an exercise in this direction. Similarly, religion and that government making. Government religion role. In the organization of a government, both at the union and the state level, the political leaders always keep in mind the religious content. So, my dear student, so try to capture the idea that how religion plays a vital role in the politics of Indians. They try to that please or accommodate religious leaders by giving ministerial birth to their candidates. Who ଯେମିତି ଆମର ଉତ୍ତର ପ୍ରଦେଶର ଚିଫ ମିନିଷ୍ଟର ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ ଦ ଗ୍ଲୋଇଂ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ. ଯୋଗୀ ସେ କିଭଳି ଭାବେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ପ୍ଲେସମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଉଛି କରାଯାଇଛି ଏବଂ ରିଲିଜିୟନ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ମେକିଂରେ କେମିତି ମାନେ ଅଛି ଧର୍ମର ଭୂମିକା କେମିତି ଭାବରେ ଅଛି. The representative of the people, the search for inducing a Sikh minister or the exercise involved in the appointment of a Muslim to a high office tends to reflect the presence of the religious factors in the process of government. Similarly, the Shiv Sena is a part of the BJP, Shiv Sena coalition government in Maharashtra, and that BJP government in Punjab reflect the soul of religion and religion in government making, at least in some of the Indian states. So in this regard, religion plays a vital role. Another point is religion is a determinant of voting behavior. Definitely. All voting behavior studies in India employ bring out the fact that religion always acts as an important determinant of people's choice of candidates in election. The political parties both that those which are based on particular religion, and those which are that secularist do not hesitate to canvass for their candidate in the name of ସେ ଧାର୍ମିକ ହେଇଥାଉ ବା ଧର୍ମ ନିରପେକ୍ଷ ହେଇଥାଉ, କୌଣସି ଦଳ ଧର୍ମକୁ ମାଧ୍ୟମ କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି ବୋଲି କହିବା। The Kerala communists have always used the religious factor to gain majority in the state legislature. In particular, the voting behavior of the voters belonging to the minorities always governed by this factor. Vote for the Panth or vote for that fighting the enemies of the Panth or unite for that Panthic unity, etc. are the usual slogan which the electorate in Punjab always hears during the election days. So in this regard, I would say the student might have heard, student might have seen in their localities that during the time of election, so the political parties, they are advancing, they are motivating to the minority communities, and by providing some aid to their masjid, building up road to the minority communities, and so that how they will give their 7% vote in favor of them. This is that means the voting behavior, how the religion converted to the voting behavior. যদি ইচ্ছা ଅଛି যে ଗୋଟେ রাইট ক্যান্ডিডেটକୁ ଦେବା ପାଇଁ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ ଦ ମେନ୍ ଦାଟ୍ ରିଜିନ୍, ଯେ ଇଚ୍ଛା ଥିଲେ ମଧ୍ୟ ତାଙ୍କ ଗାଁରେ ମସଜିଦ ପାଇଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦେଲେ ପଇସା, ତେଣୁ ସମସ୍ତେ ଏକ ହେଇଗଲେ ଏଇ ଦଳକୁ ଆମେ ଦେବା। It is the directly that how religion is the determinant of voting behavior. Next, religious interest groups play a key role in Indian politics, like Arya Samaj, Jamaat Islam, Sikh Intellectual Forum, Sikh Students Federation, Hindu Suraksha Samiti, various religious that methods, anti-cow slaughter movement, that Brahmin Sabhas and Muslim Brotherhood, all act as interest groups in the Indian political system. They are also play a vital role. They are actively involved in all the process of politics, such as political socialization, leadership recruitment, interest articulation, interest aggregation, political communication, etc. This put great pressure on such vital matters as national integration. The Muslim interest groups are demanding the reconstruction of the Babri Masjid, while the several Hindu interest groups, they are also demanding the building of Ram Janmabhoomi temple in Ayodhya. The issue of Ram Janmabhoomi versus Babri Masjid has been a controversial issue in Indian politics, and the root is the religion. It has been source of strain on the Indian decision makers. Next, the religious fundamentalism and terrorism. Within the broad and strong ambit of Indian secularism, there have been in existence some forces of religious fundamentalism and terrorism which are challenging to the national building. Religious violence in the form of communal classes and the active presence of some so-called religious terrorist outfits have been acting as the source of unhealthy and harmful pressure on Indian politics. India has undoubtedly exhibited her ability to keep these forces under control, and the people of India at large have a firm faith in the principle of religious toleration. Yet, it can be denied that religious fundamentalism and terrorism have been presented and acting as the strains of India's resources and capabilities as a nation to fight the menace of terrorism and fundamentalism has been a major concern of Indian political system. जो पूरी घटना आम कहवा जो आमर काश्मीर रे पुलवामा घटना कहवा जो all these are the incidents that are terrorism activities. That terrorism is tempted by the religious fundamentalism. So all these points clearly bring out the role of religion is a factor in Indian politics. So anyway, now I took the 1 hour apparently for this particular topic because it was interesting and the question will be asked and you may follow these particular points when you will give answer. Next, I will say some extra things. The religious that unfortunately all these things are happen. So all religions preach to gospel, brotherhood of man and fatherhood of that God. All stand for human values and humanism. All uphold similar values and hence can safety coexist and develop side by side. The adoption of religious values over and above the religious symbols or rituals is what is needed most in Indian society. This was what Mahatma Gandhi had meant while advocating the need for making the religion as the basis of politics, unless and until it is accepted and adopted by Indian polity can continue to suffer from communalism and other harmful practices. So with this, we just close this topic. Next topic is the ethnicity and nation state. Ethnicity and a nation state, it is also another that is unit 26. 26. My dear student, this topic, ethnic and nation state, it is also an important thing. I will give you tips in a short form, in a shortest way, that how ethnicity has become an important issue for the has become an issue and also challenge to the nation building. We see that India, after achieving independence from the colonial rule, was engaged with the project of nation building. Right? The leadership of the country was believed that only way to achieve the overall development of a society was to have democratic political system. In the country based on the principle of secularism, liberty, equality, socialism, which were guaranteed in the constitution of the country. But the project of nation building with main purpose to achieve democracy and development had to be carried out amidst the ethnic diversities in the country. Apart from the caste, religious, and the tribal groups, the diversities in India ranked in terms of culture, language, and regional development with different levels of development and histories. Different regimes and cultural groups in the country could pose a real challenge to the nation building. So, the strategic location on the international borders of the Northeast, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, and Jammu and Kashmir made the task of nation building more challenging. Hmm. With the fresh memories of communal Holocaust, following the partition of the country, the goal of nation building was the top priority as the top priority of the country's leadership after achieving independence. It was believed at that time that with the establishment of the democratic political system and overall development, the ethnic or diversity in India will not pose any problem. Any nation building. यह थिला धारणा जे एक प्रकार जो प्रॉब्लम देखा देबो नहीं भारत वर्ष रे को क्षेत्र ना जाति गठन क्षेत्र रे राष्ट्र निर्माण क्षेत्र रे जे एथनिक प्रॉब्लम किछि देखेबो नहीं. But after 2 decades of independence, after 2 decades of the independence, what happened? Ethnicity became the challenge for nation building. That has been depicted in this story. How ethnic movement has become an obstacle to the nation building, and why this ethnic that idea is just created among the people. That is the main things. And so many that incidents have been happened in the countries like the northeast states, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, and various areas. So, before we discuss about the ethnicity and nation state, we should know what is the meaning of ethnic. Ethnic, particularly ethnicity, the fact of the state of belonging to social groups that has common national or cultural tradition. That particularly ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା ଯେ ethnicity ପାଇଁ ethnicity that is a particular group which wants to that particularly for identification of their territorial integrity. ଯେ ଗୋଟେ ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦିଷ୍ଟ ସ୍ଥାନ ତାଙ୍କର ସଂସ୍କୃତି ତାଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ଚଳଣି ଏ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ କିଭଳି ଭାବରେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଗୋଟେ ମାନେ ସେଲ୍ଫ ଡିଟରମିନେସନ ସେମାନେ ହେବେ ଏବଂ କେମିତି ଆଇଡେଣ୍ଟିଫିକେସନ ହେବେ ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ଯୋଉ ଏଥନିକ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ଏବଂ ଏଥନିକ କନଫ୍ଲିକ୍ଟ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଉଛି ଏବଂ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଏଥନିକ କନଫ୍ଲିକ୍ଟ ନେସନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ building ପାଇଁ କିଭଳି problem ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରୁଛି that is the main that topic main essence or the content of this topic. An ethnic group or ethnicity is a category of people who, my dear student, I am also elaborating the meaning of ethnic group. An ethnic group or ethnicity is a category of people who identify with each other, usually on the basis of presumed similarities such as a common language, ancestry, history, society, culture, nation, or social treatment within their residing area. जो एरिया सेमाने अछंती सेही एरिया रे तांको गोटे स्वतंत्र परिचय तांकर होची सृष्टि करागला जेमिति फॉर एग्जांपल आमे कहबा जे that Gurkhaland, it is the Gurkhas. They are also creating that disturbances in the West Bengal. They want the ethnic identity. That how their identification should be created by the government of India. The ethnicity is often used synonymous with the terms nation, particularly in case of ethnic nationalism, and is separate from but related to the concept of races. Ethnicity is usually an inherited status based on the society in which one lives. Again, I am telling, ethnicity is usually an inherited status based on the society in which one lives. पूर्व पुरुषରୁ ବଂଶଗତ ଭାବେ ଚିରାଚରିତ ଢଙ୍ଗରେ ଯେ ସେମାନେ ସମାଜରେ ଯୋଉଠି ରହୁଛନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କର ସେଟା ପୈତୃକ ତେଣୁ ତାଙ୍କର ସେଇଠି ସେମାନେ ରହିବେ ଏବଂ ତାଙ୍କର ମର୍ଯ୍ୟାଦା ତାଙ୍କର ଚାଲିଚଳନ ଏବଂ ସମସ୍ତ ଯୋଉ ଆଇଡେଣ୍ଟିଫିକେସନ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଦିଆଯିବା ଦରକାର ଯେମିତି ନାଗାଲାଣ୍ଡ ଷ୍ଟେଟ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଇଛି ନାଗାଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ସେମାନେ ସେଇଭଳି फाइट कले एथनिक मूवमेंट जे एक निर्दिष्ट जो टेरिटोरी रे निर्दिष्ट अंचल रे निर्दिष्ट भूसीमा भितर समानकर सम मत पोषण करथबा समान जो संप्रदाय निजे तांकर सांस्कृतिक जो वैशिष्ट्य पैतृक जो परिचय तांको ओरिजिन एवं इतिहास तांको जो होमलैंड लैंग्वेज डायलेक्टिक सिंबॉलिक सिस्टम ये सब नहीं कि चाहे आमर गोटे स्वतंत्र परिचय हो जहाँ आम कहवा कौन ना एथनिक ग्रुप बेस्ड ऑन द रेस एंड रिचुअल decentile art of physical appearances. Ethnic group often continue to speak related languages and also share a similar that gene pool. By way of language shift, articulation, adoption and religious conversion, it is sometimes possible for individuals or groups to leave one ethnic group and become a part of another. The social construct that ethnic groups share a similar gene pool has been contradicted within the scientific community is evidenced by data finding more that genetic variation within ethnic groups compared to between ethnic groups. The largest ethnic groups in modern times that comprise more than 1 billion individuals each, while the smallest are limited to a few dozen individuals. Ethnic groups may be that subdivided into subgroups or tribes, which over time many become separate ethnic groups themselves due to endogamy or physical isolation from the parent group. Conversely, or formally separate ethnicities can merge to form a pan-ethnicity and may eventually merge into one single ethnicity, whether through division or amalgamation. The formation of a separate ethnic identity is referred to as ethnogenesis. So, my dear friends, so this is the particularly the concept of ethnicity. Why we say ethnicity and why this ethnic group always demanding for self-determination, self-identification, and which has become the challenge for our the nation building. The strategic location in the international borders of the northeast Tamil Nadu, Punjab, and Jammu Kashmir made the task of nation building more challenging. यही राष्ट्र गुड़िक राज्य गुड़िक आमर जो राष्ट्र गठन को बेसी परिमाण रे जो विपद सृष्टि करछंती प्रतिबंधक सृष्टि करछंती with the phrase that memories of a communal holocaust following the partition of the country, the goal of nation building was the top priority. So anyway, that it focuses particularly एक कथा कहबार कारण होती ये जो टॉपिक का आर ऊपर गुरुत्व देती जे it focuses on the ethnicity and a national the nation state is a challenge to the democracy and development. गणतंत्र एवं गणतंत्र जो विकास धारा प्रतिबंधक सृष्टि करछि ये जो एथेनिक मूवमेंट बा एथेनिक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट तेणु केमिति भारत वर्ष एथेनिक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट सृष्टि होछि एवं इन डिफरेंट फॉर्म्स समान चाहुचति जो द वेरियस डायमेंशन ऑफ द एथेनिसिटी दे से तो केमिति समान चाहुचति जे यूनियन ठारू समान अलग है सेपरेट है separate परिचय पाए. It states that the Nehruvian model could not eliminate the differences based on the exclusive factors. Rather, ethnicity has found expression in the form of insurgency, conflicts, riots, and autonomy movements. It also deals with the response of the state to the ethnicity. The issues are analyzed with examples from Punjab, Tamil Nadu, North East India, and Jammu Kashmir. So, now we'll see the different manifestation of ethnicity. It is manifested in the form of the self-determination movement, the autonomy movement, secessionist movement, insurgency and ethnic conflict, and riots. The insurgency means to hold that a particular land in which a group of people be identified. That means they are against the policymakers to make some policy in favor of their identification. The main cases of ethnicity in India, especially Northeast India, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, and Jammu and Kashmir. So, Here we see that demand for secessionism, a statehood, demand for regional autonomy within the state. So these are the particular demand of ethnicity group. Interstate disputes, and just I will say the model of a nation state building was contested by the smaller nationalities in various parts of the country. Nagas and Mijos in the northeast, Dravidian movement in the Tamil Nadu, Jammu and Kashmir, and Punjab. The number of ethnic conflicts that continue to grow in the country, as if we in the Darjeeling of West Bengal. So there is also a conflict among the ethnic group to that identify, to give identification or to for a separate state. Gurkhaland are also the same problem. There are mainly three sets of that explanation for the rise of ethnic challenge to the nation state. The primordial, the instrumental, and the combination of the primordial and the instrumental. The instrumental explanation is the most predominant. It has been argued by some scholars that nation state building model is an attempt of the dominant leadership in the country to subordinate the smaller nationalities. Alright. To retrieve the situation, there has to be a reversal in the policies from the nation state building to genuine federation. So here I will draw the attention of the student regarding the ethnicity and the different type of that are cases of ethnicity in India, particularly the northeast states. With their distinct histories, geographical location, diverse ethnic composition, almost all the states of northeast India have been faced with the problems of ethnicity. They all have witnessed insurgency, ethnic conflict, riots, and autonomous movement in varying degrees at a different point of time in the post-independence. They have generally taken violent forms. କାହିଁକି ନା ଆମକୁ ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର ପରିଚୟ ଦିଆଯାଏ। ଆମ ଜାତି ଆମ ଯୋଉ ଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ଆକାରରେ ଆମକୁ ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର ପରିଚୟ ଦିଆଯାଏ। Even as the elements of the insurgency are present in almost all the states, it took the most strident form in Nagaland and Mizoram. ପାହାଡ଼ିଆ ଅଞ୍ଚଳରେ ସେମାନେ ଡିମାଣ୍ଡ କଲେ ଯେ ଆମକୁ ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର ପରିଚୟ ଦିଅ। ଆମେ ପାହାଡ଼ି, ଆମେ ଟ୍ରାଇବାଲ ପିପଲ, ଆମର ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର ଲିପି, ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର ଭାଷା, ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର ଚଳଣି, ତେଣୁ ଆମକୁ ଗୋଟେ ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର जो मान्यता दिया जाऊ, कारण दिस इज आवर that ethnic demand for which Nagaland and Mizoram has been created two different states, because these Nagas and Mijos, though created the such an ethnic movement violently, I mean they didn't retreat to that use. the guerrilla war, and also the terrorist activities. So, though government of India have taken a repressive measure, but failed to that maintain it, for which the two states has been created. In 1952, in the country that declared to have set up their own sovereign state. Similarly, this was the Northeast India country, and another the Federal Republic of Nagaland that created. In the past 2 decades, new insurgent groups have emerged in almost all states of the region, supported by the foreign countries, especially the bordering neighbors. These have set up an umbrella organization under the leadership of that National Socialist Council of Nagaland. So, they question the sovereignty of the Indian state and the concept of the nation state. The areas of Assam which are inhabited by the Khasis, ମାନେ ଖାସି ହେଉଛି ଗୋଟେ ସମ୍ପ୍ରଦାୟ ଯୋଉ ଜନଜାତି ସମ୍ପ୍ରଦାୟ ତାଙ୍କୁ ସେଠି ଅଧିକ ପରିମାଣରେ ଏବଂ ଝଣ୍ଟିଆଜ ଏବଂ Garous had witnessed the movement for an autonomous state in the 1960. 1960 ମସିହାରେ ଏଇ ଆଦିବାସୀ ମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେମାନେ ଡିମାଣ୍ଡ କଲେ ଆମ ଗୋଟେ ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର state ଦିଆଯାଏ. It resulted in the formation of a separate state of Meghalaya in 1972. ଯୋଉଥିପାଇଁ କ'ଣ ହେଲା 1972 ମସିହାରେ ମେଘାଳୟ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଲା. In Assam, there are agitations for the creation of the autonomous states like Bodoland. ଆସାମର ବୋଡୋଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ପାଇଁ ଦୀର୍ଘ ଦିନ ଧରି ଚାଲିଲା ଯୋଉ ଏଥନିକ୍ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ. The target in the insurgency is the sovereignty of the state. Sovereignty of the state, police, army and other institutions, the autonomy movements do not question the sovereignty of the state, but their attack also is diverted against the state agencies. This insurgency and the autonomy movement often resulted in the ethnic riots, especially between the tribal and non-tribal, or between one or other tribes. All these developments ultimately get linked to the state policies regarding the Northeast region. तो ये होची जे एथनिक मूवमेंट रो केस जोथिପାଇଁ जे आसाम मेघालय नागालैंड मिजोरम भली जो स्टेट सृष्टि हिची जो एथनिक मूवमेंट. Similarly, Tamil Nadu, you will see the Tamil Nadu that the particularly the strident opposition to the notion of India as a nation state had come in South India. Northeast kala South India much before the country was freed from the colonial rule. उपनिवेशिक शासन थिला बेले सेते बेले माने चेष्टा कलेनी किबोली भाबरे ब्रिटिश स्वतंत्र परिचय दे. The Dravidian movement of Tamil Nadu became the representative of this in the region, originating in the self-respect movement and later getting articulated in the form of the Justice Party, DK and DMK. Dravidian nationalism questioned the dominant notion of the nationalism and a nation state in the country on 3 grounds. What are these? Religion, language, and attachment. Religion, language, and caste. the pioneer of the Dravidian nationalism, E.B. Ramaswamy Nayakar, popularly known as that Perrier, argued that the dominant nationalism in India was articulated by the Congress, which was based on the Hindu religion or Brahminism. That means the Hindi language and the high castes, especially Brahmins, it was antithetical to the Dravidian nationalism based on non-Aryan Dravidian religion. Tamil language and the low castes. It was necessary to protect the Dravidian identity and nationalism from the domination of North Indian high caste nationalism. ଏଠି କ'ଣ ହେଲା ନା ବ୍ରାହ୍ମଣ ଏବଂ ଅଣବ୍ରାହ୍ମଣ ଦ୍ରାଭିଡ଼ିଆନ ନନ୍ ଦ୍ରାଭିଡ଼ିଆନ ନନ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ଦ୍ରାଭିଡ଼ିଆନ ଆଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ ପାଇଁ ହେଉଛି ଲାଗିଲା ଏବଂ ଯୋଉଥିପାଇଁ ଯେ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ଗଠନ ପାଇଁ ଇଏ କିଭଳି ଭାବେ ଗୋଟେ ବିପଦ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କଲା ଏବଂ କେମିତି ଏମାନେ ଯେ ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ ମଧ୍ୟ ବେସ୍ କରି ଏଥେନିକ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ମଧ୍ୟ ହେଇପାରେ। ତେଣୁ ଯୋଉଥିପାଇଁ ସେ ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜକୁ ମାଧ୍ୟମ କରି କ'ଣ କଲେ ନା ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କଲେ ଯେ ଏଥେନିକ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ। These two forms of nationalism could not exist together. The demand for secession ମାନେ ବିଚ୍ଛିନ୍ନ ହେଇଯିବା। The demand for secession ମାନେ secessionism ମାନେ ବିଚ୍ଛିନ୍ନତାବାଦ ଆନ୍ଦୋଳନ। Anti Hindi agitation, later demand for more autonomy, এই ডিমান্ড ছিল ହେଲା କ'ଣ ନା ଆମେ ଅଲଗା ହେଇଯିବୁ। Demand for secession, anti Hindi agitation and later demand for more autonomy were the examples of the implication of the challenge of ethnicity to state in South India. Next, the thrust on the Dravidian culture deterred the growth of ethnicity on the lines of Hindu communalism in Tamil Nadu, unlike other states of South India. The basis of a challenge to the Hindu communalism in Tamil Nadu had been identified. So this was the example of ethnicity demand in the Tamil Nadu, particularly South. Next, you see the Punjab. It is the another that main cause of ethnicity in India. The ethnicity in Punjab got manifested mainly in the form of autonomy movement in that and insurgency. ସରକାର ବିରୁଦ୍ଧରେ ସହାୟତା ପାଇଁ ଯୋଉ କେନ୍ଦ୍ର ଠାରୁ ଅଲଗା ହେବା ପାଇଁ ବା ଜାତୀୟ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ଠାରୁ ଅଲଗା ହେବା ପାଇଁ ଏମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଆନ୍ଦୋଳନ which had the regional, religious and economic basis. Sometimes it had taken the form of the communal conflict between Hindus and Sikhs. ପଞ୍ଜାବରେ ଚାଲିଲା ହିନ୍ଦୁ ଏବଂ ଶିଖ ଧର୍ମ ଏବଂ ହିନ୍ଦୁ ଧର୍ମ ଭିତରେ ଏବଂ ଚାଲିଲା। Punjab had witnessed the autonomy movement during 1950s and 1960s, which was spearheaded by the Akali Dal. The Akali Dal leadership argued that the areas of Punjab which were inhabited by the people whose mother tongue was Punjabi. ତେଣୁ ଆମର ଯୋଉମାନେ ଆମେ ରହୁଛୁ ଏଠି ଆମର ହଉଛି ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ ପଞ୍ଜାବୀ and who followed Sikh religion should be given an autonomous province of their own. ତେଣୁ ସେ ପଞ୍ଜାବୀ ମାନେ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି ସେଠି ତାଙ୍କର ପଞ୍ଜାବୀ ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ କିନ୍ତୁ ଶିଖ ମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର ଗୋଟେ ଯେ ଷ୍ଟେଟ independent state there. According to Baldev Raj Nayak, the Akali leadership followed three-pronged strategy to mobilize the support. Akali dal aramb kala taku keunti mobilize kariyo ta support keunti asle the constitutional infiltration and agitation. The first involved the constitutional means like that memorandums, rallies, marches, etc. ये हला प्राथमिक जो प्रतिरोध द्वितीय प्रतिरोध आसला the second allowed a large number of the Akali Dal members to penetrate the Congress organization and influence its decisions from within in favor of Punjab Subai. And the third consisted of the marches to shrines, use of force, that means intimidation. The agitational strategy often led to violence. ଯେତେବେଳେ ନ ହେଲା ସେତେବେଳେ ହିଂସାତ୍ମକ ବିପ୍ଳବ କୌଶଳ ଆରମ୍ଭ କଲେ ଯେ କେମିତି ଭାବରେ ଆମକୁ ଗୋଟେ ସେପାରେଟ ଯୋଉ ପରିଚୟ ମିଳିବ. In fact, there are two groups within the Akali Dal, one presented by that Sant that Fateh Singh giving the socio-economic explanation. ये गोटे ग्रुप Akali Dal दिभाग हो गया. Another group was represented प्रतिनिधित्व कला by Master Tara Singh, who justified the demand for Punjabi Subai. तेणु एटी दि भागरे विभक्त होछि हेले on the religious गोटे धार्मिक को केंद्र करी आ गोटे सोशियो इकोनॉमिक एक्सपीरियंस सामाजिक एवं अर्थनैतिक दृष्टिकोण for an autonomous province of the Sikh. Sikh मानक ପାଇଁ जो धार्मिक दृष्टिकोण को एथनिक मोड एमाने डिमांड कले एवं सेमाने डिमांड कले जे कोन सोशल इकोनॉमिक पॉइंट. The period from 1980s onwards was marked the next phase of the autonomy movement in Punjab. Unlike the earlier one, this had developed into insurgency movement, challenging the sovereignty of the Indian state and for setting up of the Khalistan, founded on the tenets of Sikh religion. It also bred the communal divide between the Sikh and the Hindu Punjab. Punjab and Sikh and marked by the large-scale violence, which resulted in innumerable deaths and colossal loss of property. The movement in Punjab challenged the edifice of the Indian nation state. The context of the Akali agitation in this phase was different from the 1950s and 60s. 1950 ମସିହାରେ ଯାହା ଥିଲା ଡିମାଣ୍ଡ 1980 ବେଳକୁ ଅଲଗା ହେଲା. କ'ଣ ନା following the decline of the Congress, rise of Akali Dal is a significant force in Punjab changed the trends in the state politics from the late 1960s. In an attempt to retain her control on the politics of the country and the Congress organization, Indira Gandhi personalized the Congress and intervened in the politics of the states directly, especially in the selection of a chief minister of the Congress ruled states. This coincided with the rising demand for the change in the center-state relation to be more favorable to the states. The challenge posed by the Akali Dal to the dominance of the Congress in Punjab in 1970s prompted Indira Gandhi to use Sikh religious symbols to mobilize the Sikh force. देखो किमिति भाबरे जे एथनिक मूवमेंट ऑफ सृष्टि करा. In the 1980 election to the Punjab Legislative Assembly, she took the help of son Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale, a Sikh religious leader, to seek the support of Sikhs. So you see, in Punjab case, particularly the Sikh and Punjab, how the political leader also, the instrument to that create the ethnic group. If the a particular group, ethnic group, will support to the Congress, they will that win the election field. So, however, this was the Punjab case. Now, another manifestation, the cause of ethnicity that is Jammu and Kashmir. It is true crucial, and at present also the ethnic movement of Jammu and Kashmir, uh, which has been that, that isolated from Indian Union, by demanding this ethnic that movement. The autonomy movement and insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir is linked to the geographical, historical, and religious factor. ତିନିଟି ଘଟଣା ଭୌଗୋଳିକ ଦୃଷ୍ଟିକୋଣ, ଐତିହାସିକ ଦୃଷ୍ଟିକୋଣ ଏବଂ ଧାର୍ମିକ ଦୃଷ୍ଟିକୋଣରୁ କିଭଳି ଭାବେ ସେମାନେ ଡିମାଣ୍ଡ କରୁଥିଲେ ଆଇସୋଲେଟ୍ ହେବା ପାଇଁ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ୍ ୟୁନିୟନ. Before its occasion, the political leaders in the state had been divided on the issues of its relationship to the nation state. While the King Hari Singh, who that wanted to retain it as an independent state, ଯେତେବେଳେ ଭାରତ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନତା ଲାଭ କଲା ସେତେବେଳେ ସବୁ ଯୋଉ ପ୍ରାଦେଶିକ ରାଜ୍ୟ ମିଶିଲେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ରାଜା ହରି ସିଂ ଏଠି ବାରିପଦାରେ ରାଜା ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣଚନ୍ଦ୍ର ଇଏ ଦି ଜଣ ହଉଛନ୍ତି ମିଶି ନଥିଲେ. ସେମାନେ ଚାହୁଁଥିଲେ ଯେ ଆମେ ଇଣ୍ଡିପେଣ୍ଡେଣ୍ଟ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ହେଇକି ରହିବୁ. They who wanted to retain it as the independent state opposed that accession of Jammu and Kashmir to India. The most popular leader of the state, Sheikh Abdullah wanted it to be merged with India. But once the state got access to India and Sheikh Abdullah became the Prime Minister of the state, the post which existed only in this state, and later on it was converted to the post of Chief Minister. So he started that wavering on the issue of Jammu and Kashmir's accession to India. He formed the plebiscite front, which provoked the central government to depose and imprison him from 1953 till 1960. There have been demands for autonomy within the state of Jammu and Kashmir from two regions, Jammu and the Ladakh, where the non-Kashmirs form substantial part of the population. The state of Jammu and Kashmir has also joined other states for the regional autonomy in terms of the change in the center-state relations. The state has witnessed the insurgency since 1980s, which resulted in the large-scale violence and communal divide in the state. The involvement of Pakistan in the insurgency has posed the challenge to the Indian nation state. According to that Balraj Puri, the reasons for the insurgency in the Jammu and Kashmir are attitude of the central government, the lack of opposition in the state. So, derailment of democracy by the state and the central leaders, rising unemployment and problems of the people, and the Cold War and the Pakistan. In his opinion, though the cause of insurgency in state has been existed from 1947 itself, its descent phase, which started from 1986, does not have link with the earlier period. The central government curtailed the autonomy granted to the state in 1947 through the Constituent Amendment in made Article 356 and 357 applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The central government as well as the Sheikh Abdullah did not let the opposition grow in the state. The democracy was derailed in the name of nationalism. The interferences of the central government in the affairs of state and that unprincipled stance state government These factors breed feeling of helplessness among the people of Jammu and Kashmir. It coincides with the rising unemployment and deterioration in the material conditions of the people. At the same time, refusal of grant autonomy within the state to the regions of Jammu and Ladakh engaged regional divide within the state. The void created by the essence of democratic opposition, political parties was filled up by the communal fundamentalist forces. So this is the situation that, that how in the Jammu and the Kashmir, including Ladakh, the ethnic group they are demanding for autonomy and the self-determination. The government failure to find the solution which could integrate the people of Jammu and Kashmir emotionally to the nation state, and instead relying on the armed forces has aggravated the problem. So, in this way, that ethnic that movement has become one of the challenge to the nation state. So this was the topic that how nation state um, was facing the problems due to ethnic. So now we will discuss and give the final touch for a democracy and the development, democracy and development and assessment. Here, my dear students, this unit you may follow from your study material that unit 7, that democracy and development and assessment, and you will give that importance, particularly the two types of democracy, that procedural democracy, substantive democracy, democracy and development. And this unit, particularly 27, this provides an overview of the assessment of democracy. जहाँ जहाँ हमें डेमोक्रेसी डेवलपमेंट को पढ़िले सेंतरे हमें लास्ट को एटा को मूल्यांकन करते असेसमेंट करबा कोन ना it provides an overview of the assessment of democracy and development. Active windows go to this setting. Just democracy and development in India, it highlights the main arguments of the discourse on the procedural and substantive democracy in India, and on the relationship between democracy and development. That's this topic. Democracy and development, how it has been succeeded or failed. This applies to democracy and development, with these are dealt with us independent or independent of each other, whether they are compatible or not. So in this topic, that present an overview of the assessment of democracy and development. Two distinct phenomena also here. Just I'm The institution of a democracy in India, in fact, began to grow during the colonial rule. They evolved through various act of British India government, and as a result of the demand with India and a section in England, the provinces of democracy found their place in the government of India Act of 1909, 1919 and 1935. Following the deliberation within the Constituent Assembly, democracy was introduced in the post-independence India in 1950 with the coming into effect Indian Republic Constitution. Here that I want to say that before independence, before India converted into a democratic country, it is faced its challenges. That Government of India Act 99, 1919, 1909, 1919 ଏବଂ 1935 ମସିହା ଭାରତ ଆଇନ କିଭଳି ଭାବରେ ଯେ ଡେମୋକ୍ରାସି ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟକୁ ସହାୟତା କରିଛି କିମ୍ବା ଡେମୋକ୍ରାସିର ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ହେବା ପାଇଁ ଭାରତ ବର୍ଷରେ କିଭଳି ଭାବରେ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମର ସାମ୍ନା କରିଛି ଏବଂ ଯୋଉଟା କନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁଏଣ୍ଟ ଆସେମ୍ବଲି ଏଗୁଡ଼ାକ ସବୁ ଡିସ୍କସନ୍ ହେଇଥିଲା ଯେ ଆମେ ଜାଣିବା 1909 ମସିହା ଏବଂ 1919ରେ ଯୋଉ ରଲ୍ ଆକ୍ଟ ଆସିଥିଲା ବ୍ରିଟିଶ ପକ୍ଷରୁ ଏବଂ which was a black law which paved the way for the Indian national movement in the 1920, and the people they developed the sense of patriotism and nationalism due to the oppressive and repressive measure taken by the British government. So that India opted for the parliamentary form of government in order to make the nation state modernity based on the principles of universal adult franchise and periodic election in contrast to the village level government in the light of Gandhian principles. That the assessment of a democracy depends on the that indices used to indicate the nature. Mainly two models indicates regarding democracy. One related to the institutional minimal procedural democracy. Two related to the substantive or effective democracy. The procedural democracy in terms of the presence of the institution of democracy. That means the through institutions, how the democracy will give the different type of facility to the citizens. So it will follows the all sort of formal institutions, procedures should be that maintained. That political parties and other associations or organizations, periodic elections, universal adult franchise, leadership, etc. The procedural, the system in the organization, the legislative, executive, judiciary, the organs of the government, how the periodic election will be conducted, that is also institution, universal adult franchise. So it is the procedural democracy, leadership, all things are included in the procedural. That means the procedural democracy which that follow the procedure of institution. Okay. अरे बैटरी का टिके लो होला ठीक दलो ये चार्ज टा बैटरी का लो होला. So similarly, the substantive substantive democracy hmm, does not consider the institutional or the procedural or electoral democracy. As comprehensive indicator the democracy, the electoral democracy in fact is that minimized, which is also marked by the larger number of facts that which are that inimical substantive to democracy. So the regarding the procedural democracy, I would say these are the two important that point. That what is the procedural democracy and what is the substantive democracy. The procedural democracy means, when the student try to remember that what I am telling. Procedural democracy means the existence and operation of democratic institutions. Again, I am telling the procedural democracy means the existence and operation of a democratic institution and a democratic process which enable the people to participate in the organization of the government through elections as well as through indirect and limited participation in actual working of the elected and representative government of their state. जो गणतांत्रिक अनुष्ठान माध्यम केमिति लोक माने पार्टिसिपेट करिवे जो विभिन्न अनुष्ठान सब अछि जो गणतांत्रिक अनुष्ठान में how the citizen will that participate with this that procedure. Procedural democracy is a democracy in which the people, that means citizen of the state, have relatively a lesser vote than the traditional direct liberal democracy. Direct democracy procedure is known as the representative democracy. Kaiki na ki election ta ruchi anushthan ruchi people participate. So it is characterized by a system of election or representatives through periodically held free and fair elections. Through which their representatives, by casting their votes, votes in favor of the candidates of their choice. So all sorts of candidates who get a majority of votes in their respective constituencies get elected as the representative and get the authority to hold public office. Why? To get majority votes in their respective constituencies, get elected as the representatives and get the authority to hold a public office and exercise the political power. Power of lawmaking, public policy making, public decision making and implementation. ये गुड़ाक सब कौन ना प्रोसीड्यूरल डेमोक्रेसी भितर जाउछि जे इलेक्शन माध्यम रे केमिति पीपल्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव सिलेक्टेड हेबे and they will act as the authority. Suppose by holding the post of the ministry or those who will be the chief minister, all these things. The core feature of a procedural democracy is the existence and operation duly constituted election system and electoral process by which authority is placed in the hands of elected representative of the people. So all duly defined and established procedures are duly complied with, and these lead to the organization of a democratic government, which act as the representative, responsive, and responsible government for a defined tenure, after the completion of which that or whenever it may be required, the fresh elections are held for the election of a new representative, and which led to the installation of a new government. This process is regularly used for electing the basic institution and structure of democracy. जिते गणतंत्र जिते अनुष्ठान सब ये अच्छे सो ये सब थ्रो इलेक्शन प्रोसेस रे सेडाक फुलफिल हुए एवं जो लोक मैंने रिप्रेजेंटेटिव इवन नेशनल लेवल हो स्टेट लेवल हो कि लोकल लेवल a duly elected representative government then makes law and policies and implement and runs the administration of the state democratically. काहे ना समान का पे करते on behalf of the people. So in simple I can say democracy is a procedural democracy so long as procedures and institutional mechanism like representative institutions, responsibility and accountability of executive to elected assemblies, basic civil liberties, including the freedom of expression and freedom to form associations and organizations for all people, and independent and duly empowered judiciary are at work. ताको आमे कहबा कोन ना that procedural democracy. Procedural democracy stands for a democratic process of electing a government, of elected representatives of the people for a democratic decision making for the entire society. सारा समाज एंटायर समाज पाई डेमोक्रेटिक प्रोसेस रे जो आईन प्रणयन हबो ता किबोली भाव रे जो लोक मानकर प्रतिनिधि माध्यम रे हबो सेदा it makes all decisions and laws by majority of the power holders, key ministers and elected representatives who are members of the legislature. MLA, state legislature, the central ministers and also member of the parliament. They will take the decision. So it follows all the that of procedures. That is why it is called procedural democracy. Similarly, the procedural democracy and substantive democracy ଭିତରେ what difference ଅଛି? This substantive democracy. Then the substantive democracy is defined as a system in which the outcome of election is a truly representative of the people. Again, I'm telling substantive democracy is defined as a system in which the outcome of elections is a truly representative of the people. Such a democracy functions in the interest of the governed. Such a democracy functions in the interest of the governed. शासित मानक पाई ये डेमोक्रेसी होची ए गणतंत्र दृष्टि. Substantive democracy is a democratic both in its organization as well as actual. माने गणतंत्र ବାସ୍ତବ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକାରିତାକୁ ଆମେ କହିବା କ'ଣ ନା substantive democracy. It is a system of functional democracy in which democratic procedures for securing all such socio-economic development objectives and goals which rest upon the real interest and support and of public opinion and democratic decision making by large and real majority of elected representatives of the people. So, the protagonist of substantive democracy defines it is a democracy characterized by the grant and guarantee of civil rights and freedoms of the people, due place to socio-economic rights of the people in the category of their fundamental rights, concept of substantive democracy. Places and substantive democracy that give emphasis upon both democratic procedures, decision making by real large majority or consensus and functioning of the government for securing socio-economic, political or cultural development or objective of all the people of the country. समग्र देशर लोकमानଙ୍କର सर्वांगीन उन्नति ପାଇଁ जो सामाजिक एवं अर्थनैतिक जो बा सांस्कृतिक विकास ପାଇଁ जो डिसीजन ने जो थ्रो प्रोसीड्यूर माने substantive democracy includes both the procedure as well as the real activities. So unlimited majority rule of procedural democracy can result in some policies unfavorable for minorities. ଯେତେବେଳେ procedural democracy ରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ absolute majority ଯେତେବେଳେ ହେଇଯିବ ସେତେବେଳେ କ'ଣ ହବ ନା substantive ତା ମାନେ real sense of जो democracy ଟା defunct ହେଇଯିବ. Democracy is substantive when it is duly and actively concerned with the involved in securing certain objectives like justice and sustainable development. ତେଣୁ जो substantive democracy को आमे सेतेबेले कहिबा एला प्रक्रिया एवं जो substantive democracy को आमे सेतेबेले डेजिग्नेट करि परिबा कन्सेप्ट जेतेबेले एहा जे लोक मानकर समग्र विकास एवं जेतेबेले ये जो उद्देश्यटा को पूर्ण करिवो कोटा ना न्याय प्रोवाइड करिवो और निरंतर विकास धारा सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट जे पर्यंत नहबो सेतेबेले हम करिबा ये होची सस्टेनेबल. However, since no that definite and precise standards of the socio-economic development goals can be determined and objectively adopted, substantive democracy cannot be accepted as absolutely best form of democracy. Substantive democracy की हमें कोई परिवार नहीं एटा होची बेस्ट डेमोक्रेसी कारण when it will not achieve the justice or when it will not able to provide justice and sustainable development तो हमें कोई परिवार नहीं एटा होची substantive democracy. In order to be a real, efficient and effective and that productive system of democratic governance and rule democracy must be both procedural as well as substantive democracy in its operation in society. तेणु गणतंत्र जो असेसमेंट कहूची जे जो प्रोसीड्यूरल एवं सब्सटेंटिव डेमोक्रेसी जो अच्छी दुई प्रकार से उभय प्रक्रिया गणतंत्र जो विकास ନିହାତି ଅପରିହାର୍ଯ୍ୟ। ତେଣୁ both the form is that needed. So finally, development is a recurrent theme in the discussion on democracy and social change. The concept has been used mainly by the sociologists and the political scientists on one hand, and the economy on the other. For the economist, development, the growth in terms of the per capita income, GNP, the modernization theory of development, apart from the factor mentioned above, has also that considered per capita income indices development. So, Amartya Sen has provided an alternative model of development. For him, the per capita income and the GNP, gross national product, are important but not enough indices for development. And the development, the real sense of the term means developing the human capabilities. Developing the human capabilities among the people and enlightenment in terms of the education, health, infrastructure, and the liberty. এইটা যেତେବେଳେ ଆମର ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଇପାରିବ ସେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଜାଣିବା ଯେ ହେଉଛି ପ୍ରକୃତ ବିକାଶ ହେଇଛି। ତେଣୁ ଅମର୍ତ୍ୟ ସେନଙ୍କ କହିବା ଅନୁସାରେ ଯେ କେବଳ ଖାଲି ଜାତୀୟ ଯୋଉ ମୁଣ୍ଡ ପିଛା ଯୋଉ ଆୟର ବୃଦ୍ଧି ବା ଉତ୍ପାଦନ ବୃଦ୍ଧି କେତେବେଳେ ବିକାଶ ହୋଇଯାଏ। ବିକାଶ ବାସ୍ତବରେ ସେତେବେଳେ ହବ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ ମାନବିକ ଯୋଉ ଶକ୍ତି, ମାନବର ଯେତେବେଳେ ଯୋଉ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟାପ୍ତ ସ୍କିଲ୍ଡ ଆସିବ, ଯେତେବେଳେ ସ୍କିଲ୍ ସେ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ କରିବ ଏବଂ ସେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଯେ ସନ୍ତୋଷଜନକ ମନେ କରିବ ଏବଂ ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ସେଲ୍ଫ ସଫିସିଏନ୍ସି ହବ ଜଣେ ଲୋକ, ସେଠି କେତେବେଳେ ନା ତାକୁ କେମିତି କରାଯାଇପାରେ ନା ଇନ୍ ଟର୍ମସ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଏଜୁକେସନ, ହେଲ୍ଥ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଇନଫ୍ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଚର ଆଣ୍ଡ ଲିବର୍ଟି। ତାକୁ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନ ଦିଆଯିବ, ଶିକ୍ଷା ଦିଆଯିବ, ସ୍ୱାସ୍ଥ୍ୟ, ଏଗୁଡ଼ାକ ସବୁଥିର ଯେତେବେଳେ ବିକାଶ ଯେତେବେଳେ ହବ ଆମେ କହିପାରିବା ଯେ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଉଛି। ଏବଂ ଏ ସମସ୍ତ କଥା ପାଇଁ democracy principle, both the procedure and substantive, the means is needed. A single system of democracy is not possible for democracy and development. Both the procedure is needed. At the same time, the people's participation in democracy is necessary. So anyway, development is also viewed in two ways. One in terms of a modern political institution, two in terms of the availabilities of the entitlements, entitlements and also capabilities to the people. There are two oppositions even about the compatibility of a development and the democracy. ଖାଲି ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରର ପ୍ରଡକ୍ଟ ମୁଣ୍ଡ ପିଛା ହେଲେ ହେଉଛି ଚଳିବ ନାହିଁ। ଯେ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ସମାଜରେ ମାନବିକ ବିକାଶ ହେବା ଦରକାର। ମାନବିକ ବିକାଶ ତାର ଯୋଉ ଲାଇଭଲିହୁଡ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ହେବା ଦରକାର, ତାର ପାରିପାର୍ଶ୍ୱିକ ଅବସ୍ଥା ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ହେବା ଦରକାର, ହେଲ୍ଥ ସାନିଟେସନ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଚର ତାକୁ ଠିକ ଭାବରେ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନତା ଦେବା ଦରକାର। ତେଣୁ ତାପରେ ଯାଇକି ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା ଯେ କ'ଣ ସେ ପ୍ରକୃତରେ ବିକାଶ କରୁଛି ଏବଂ ବିକଶିତ ହେଉଛି। ଏବଂ ଯେପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଏ ଦିଗ ଗୁଡାକ ଦେଖା ନଯାଇଛି, ସୋ ଡେମୋକ୍ରାସି ଆଣ୍ଡ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ is meaningless. So with this we just stop our presentation today. So thank you the students, those who have participate the more than 2 hours and listen my that lecture for last 5 classes, including this one, the 6 classes, and that you may ask any doubts. So the uh, for 10 minutes I'll give for any clarification in this units. So wish you all the best. If at all I will get chance, then the students may meet in online classes in the next pages. Thank you all. Sir, hello,
Yes, sir.
hello.
Yes, please, sir.
So the title, yes. If any doubt that the student may ask, and this is the last class, and I will that talk with the telephone later on. Sir,
Okay,
sir,
sir.
hello. ମୁଁ ଯୋଉ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ସରିଲା ପରେ ମୁଁ ଟିକେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସହିତ କଥା